Recording.
All right. So, what do you associate St. Patrick's Day with? Wearing green, heavy drinking, leprechauns, Irish people in general? Well, given that I am a Murphy, I tend to associate with many different things, ranging from corned beef and cabbage, wearing green, and pinching nose you don't. While many of you can actually find the same similarities with how you celebrate the day, I'd like to share with you some of the key aspects so next St. Patrick's Day you'll be super knowledgeable and have something to bring to the table. The purpose of this speech today is to inform you of the traditions surrounding the leprechaun. The American culture tends to translate various traditions as they become one of our traditions, and the leprechaun sure has gone through a lot in its journey to the United States as the jolly green good guy. So these are some of the visual aids regarding leprechauns. This is the first known picture of a leprechaun in any of the books, as well as just a typical pot of gold. And there's many stories surrounding the actual origin of the leprechaun and how it came about. The first known instance of leprechauns was in a book dating back to the 17th century. The book was titled The New Horde by Decker, and it referred to the leprechaun as a lubricant, which in the text stated that it was that spirit by which preposterous charms thy lust has raised. So while that translation may differ from what many of you had thought regarding what a leprechaun is, it is the first reference indicating anything regarding signs of wealth and lust for such. It is also the first overall reference to leprechauns in many texts. So another one of the possible origins of the leprechaun was in regards to shoemaking for fairies. Basically, many portraits in Ireland actually show leprechauns working on shoes and that they were actually the best at it. According to Helen Pulaski at life123.com, leprechauns were known to make shoes for fairies, and they could only make one shoe at a time. The possible reason behind that was that for one, fairies only needed one shoe, and also due to the hammer and the noise it made, it might actually attract humans to the leprechaun, which in turn would steal the gold. And kind of touching back on the topic of gold and leprechauns, which I'm sure is what many of you actually associate leprechauns with. Leprechauns in many cultures have been associated with gold, and that if you are lucky enough to catch a leprechaun, it may be very difficult to get its gold. So one of the main points of leprechaun and gold is the pot of gold hidden on the countryside or at the end of a rainbow. It is said that Irish fairies gave leprechauns a specific magic power in case they were captured by humans or animals. And that said magic power was either to grant 3 wishes or to vanish into thin air. It is said that if you catch a leprechaun and look away from him, he will vanish from sight, and thus you have lost your chance of getting your gold. So needless to say, keep your eye on that leprechaun if you ever find him. The myth behind the end of the rainbow is actually kind of funny because the fact that it's actually at the end of a rainbow doesn't make sense, because what a rainbow actually is it's a full circle, and because of the actual positioning of the earth gets in the way of it. It looks like there's an actual endpoint for it, but there's actually no end to a rainbow. So just to clear that up, and that kind of ties along with leprechauns and their trickery, where find it at the end of the rainbow. Good luck with that, because you'll never find it at the end of the rainbow. The first kind of overall, when leprechauns actually became associated with gold, was when the Danes invaded Ireland. Legend has it that the Danes left the leprechauns in charge of their plundered wealth, which leprechauns hid in pots throughout Ireland. It is said that leprechauns carry 2 pouches, one that has a silver shilling and one that has a gold coin. The silver shilling always returns to the pouch anytime it is paid out, and the gold coin actually turns to leaves or ash and is mainly used as a way to get out of tricky situations. So L.V. Anderson of Slate.com's The Idealist states that the idea of a leprechaun as a jolly, itinerant elf is a product of mid-20th century American popular culture. Leprechauns were first introduced to American culture shortly after the turn of the 20th century due to 2 popular books. The first being Hermione Templeton Cavan's short story collection, Darby O'Gill and the Good People, and James Stephen's novel, The Crock of Gold. In Stephen's book, the leprechaun was shown as more of a value to the earth than as a prime minister or a stockbroker, because a leprechaun dances and makes merry. While this mere quotation may make a leprechaun seem like a great character, Stevens also has the leprechaun kidnapping and also being framed for murder in the same exact book, so don't get it wrong. Something that all of us may hold as a childhood memory in our generation of an idea of a leprechaun was made popular by the cereal Lucky Charms. Lucky Charms first came about in the early 1960s and idealized the leprechaun as Lucky, who was a jolly old leprechaun trying to keep his Lucky Charms from the children. The children were often depicted as trying to catch the leprechaun to steal his Lucky Charms, and it was impossible to do so. And it is also said that if children were actually chasing a leprechaun around, it probably wouldn't have good results anyways, given the leprechaun's actual nature with kidnapping and murder. So probably wasn't a good idea, but needless to say, that was how Lucky Charms depicted the leprechaun, and the leprechaun also a way that we see it in pop culture. You'll also see another version of the leprechaun in another movie as of recently as well, depicting the evil version of it, so you kind of get the mix of that. So, in summary today, we reviewed the origins of the leprechaun, the idea of a pot of gold, as well as a leprechaun in today's culture. It is important to stop and question these widely held beliefs regarding the various traditions, as many of these have been translated to suit our needs in popular American culture. As a Murphy, I learned a lot about the origins of the leprechaun, and I can guarantee I will be sharing this information in the near future, considering St. Patrick's Day is right around the corner. Leprechauns are a symbol of the Irish culture, and whether good or bad, they represent many ideals of this culture. Regardless of how it has been translated since the 17th century, we all wish that we will one day find that pot of gold. And I tell you, if I end up catching a leprechaun, you better believe I'm not taking my eyes off him for 1 second, because there is no way I'm letting him trick me after learning about all this today. I hope I give all of you a competitive advantage as well, should you encounter a leprechaun, and all I ask from you is that you look me up and pay me my fair share of dividends. Thank you.